Hello and welcome to yet another episode of News 18 Yuva Bharat in association with IMAN, that is the India International Movement to Unite Nations. And they've got a very larger motive, which I really subscribe to, that we need to see India as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, and within Durni, fingers crossed. And the person who started it all and continues to champion it is with us here on Yuva Bharat. Rishabh, always good to have you with us.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yes, and today we're going to shift the dynamic and take this entire discourse further in a post-COVID world, how things change. And we've looked at schools, we've looked at colleges, but today we look at competitive exams. We look at that next level beyond graduation and how things will change. And we've got, once again, you've helped curate a very diverse panel. I think we get a lot of views. Atul Kumar Gupta ji, president of the ICAI, is with us. Daritri Sahu is with us. She's from the Kamal Convent School in Delhi. Aviral Agarwal is a student at the Bennett University, Greater Noida. And Professor Ashok Acharya is a professor, Department of Political Science at the Delhi University. So there are going to be multiple questions. I think the broad focus this time around is going to be, how is it? How do things change? What is the new normal in a post-COVID era? We're looking at a digital infrastructure which gets perhaps more heft. And are we going to take a lot of the COVID learnings, what COVID forced us to learn? Are we going to then use it and incorporate it into our lives going forward? I'm going to start with Atulji. Atulji, one of the first questions is about competitive examinations. Should they be at the exam centers? Should they now move to be totally online? Where do you stand?
Thank you, Anandji. And as far as the examinations are concerned, we need to understand that the exams are there to check not only the attitude, but the aptitude level, the ability to express yourself. Now, there are the exams when you are looking only and only for your calculation parts or some kind of arithmetic accuracy or something. Then you can always go for an online exam, like today, which is happening in number of cases. But at the same time, when you are looking for a communication skill, your writing skills, your apprehensions, like how you will comprehension, that how you will be able to develop your sentences and like your thought process, then certainly you required a physical mode of exam, a descriptive mode of exam, which is only possible when you are available at the center itself. Now there are the I will say there is a suggestion that okay, even the descriptive exams can be online. But as you are aware that they have their own weaknesses and challenges. The bandwidth problem, like the Gayatri was talking about, that there is a bandwidth problem. The electricity problems are there. The unfair means you have to check into. And then you have to have a proctoring, which is a limited version of that is available. So the best way that while following the guidelines, we should have a physical examination of specifically of a descriptive in nature, when you are in the descriptive in nature.
But how difficult or easy it is to conduct physical examinations at a time when we don't have a vaccine in sight? Even if we have a vaccine in sight, everyone is not going to get vaccinated or inoculated in at least 3 years. 3 साल तो लग ही जाएंगे. तो कैसे, how are you conducting examinations? Isn't there resistance that you're seeing?
Yeah, that is very, very important question, Anandji. That this is the exact example which showcased to the entire society, not at the national, but at the international level, that we recently concluded the most difficult examination of the world. We used to say the Chartered Accountancy examination, wherein around 471,000 students appeared. Somebody appeared for 4 days, somebody appeared for 8 days, but the exam span was around 16 days. But we have successfully completed the exams while following the guidelines. So naturally, you have to put in extra efforts. You have to hire the more and more schools and colleges. You have to organize more examination center. For example, the ICI in the May examination, which was scheduled, it was only at the 500 centers. But we increased 600 centers and make it to 1100 center in November examination, which we have recently concluded, so that the student need not to travel from their district. So because the local traveling is like the transportation is a challenge if you have to travel from one location to another location, and then the stay challenges were there. So this is I will say a unique example which the ICI set, that in spite of this COVID, the new normal, because this situation will not improve, as you rightly mentioned, maybe for a year or so or 2 years or so. You can't jeopardize the career of the lakhs of students. So you have to go extra mile and you have to prepare yourself for the challenging times.
So is it so challenging to conduct these exams online, Rishabh? Because I know with IMAN you'll have a lot of students who are in that stage now, where they will be looking to get into competitive exams, ready to just take that leap off. And what is the feedback there? And do you agree with Atulji?
I partly agree with what he says, that that in his opinion what he did mention, and Anand, what you mentioned about the fact that there are so many students who are now who are writing competitive examinations, and many of them, however, are of the opinion that we must conduct them only online. Many who interact basically say that it's better to be safe than sorry, and I've always reiterated the fact that safety is something which is which doesn't happen by accident. It is something that it's something that you must do. It's a conscious choice. So the idea is that if examinations can be conducted online, then that should be taken as the new normal. But then again, there's a vast difference between conducting something online as vis-a-vis something offline. So when you are conducting something offline, it's only going to give the students the more holistic and real experience of writing a paper. Plus, you can't just Google answers off. Which as much as you say that conducting examinations online, one of the other problems is you can just simply get every answer on Google, and technology, unfortunately or fortunately, is not foolproof. And Indians are going to come up with solutions, or jugaad, as you say, before the problem arises. So
just to share with you that when we are talking about the online exam, there are the two different modes in the online exam. The one is that home-based online exam. The another is a center-based online exam. Now, if I am coming to the center, in case you are coming to the center, I believe there is no difference between an online exam or a physical examination. Now today, because the ICI has adopted the 100% digital evaluation. So evaluation in any case is a digital mode that is there. Now coming to the home-based exam, the home-based online exam. Now the home-based online exam with that kind of a bandwidth of maybe the 1 million students in one or the other competitive examination, I can tell you that the challenges of the bandwidth, the internet connectivity, the electricity challenges, and the unfair means Rishabh was talking about, that will create the more severe problem as compared to the problem. So unless and until you are not mature enough, your systems are not mature enough, dreaming that okay, there will be a home-based online examination and which all the facilities and the I will say the ecosystem is perfect, is again I believe is a distant reality.
I totally understand your point, but you said you conducted these exams with lakhs of students.
Yes.
Did you even track? Did anybody contract COVID? Did anybody experience discomfort?
We have all the data available that what is the situation of the various candidates. I can tell you with the very, I will say very good news from our side that there was not even, I will say only, we got only 30 such cases reported out of this 471,000. The student when reported that they themselves got COVID positive, maybe in the center or other, I'm not aware where they actually it happened.
Right.
But the data which we got from the students.
Dharitri, does that encourage you to say, all right, you're okay to write competitive exams, go down to the exam centers and write?
I would prefer going to an exam center and giving one exam rather than just sitting and thinking that I won't give the exam, I won't even go forward in my life. So it's not just I have to stop. We have many other things to do in life. So I'll prefer going, and changes takes time. So there, like from offline to online, shifting has been taking place. So I'll say it's a good thing, and students have even shown a phenomenal results in JEE NEET. Like two of the students in NEET exam got 720 out of 720. I don't think so. It's only just because they just sat at home and didn't study. They must have studied from an online platform and online test series from the coaching institute which were being provided.
You think you'll be able to convince your parents कि जाने दो मुझे लिखने दो?
Sure, sir. It's not just, it's a 1 day protocol that, yeah, you need to get a mask, get some equipments, and just go and sit an exam for just 3 hours, sir. It's not like you'll be sitting for 24 hours and sitting. Obviously, there will be some SOPs being followed. And for example, I gave the NEET exam also. So I think my parents would just allow me to go for 6 hours and just sit for exam and like
So
keep
you
moving
gave
forward.
NEET. Did you give
Yeah.
NEET? You gave NEET. So how was the experience? Allow me to just spend about 2-3 minutes with you. Just explain to me. Were you happy with this with the SOPs? Were you a little apprehensive before writing the exam? Before you went there to the center, were your parents apprehensive? And then once you went there, were all of you a little more reassured? Tell me your experience.
So initially, I was scared that how would this happen actually, because at that moment, if you talk in September, the COVID cases were rising like anything.
Yeah,
When I reached the center, SOPs were being followed. They had properly
right.
maintained distance, circles were being made so that students can stand accordingly, like 2 meter distance. And
Mm,
inside the hall, there were at least 2 meter distance again for the seating arrangement, and the teachers were also
mm,
good enough
mm.
that they provide us with sanitizer, and the if they felt that if the student has cough and cold, they had a separate room for them also.
Let me take this, Anand, to also the professor with you in loop, in the sense that e-learning is now replacing, like the like the girl said, she's so excited about learning on Unacademy and platforms like that. Now they are bringing online education in a way that has never been before. Do you think, Professor, that this is going to basically change, that online learning is going to take over offline learning, or that at least it will now become a part of curriculum and schooling in terms of college and postgraduate as well?
Well, the latter. I would hold the latter to be true, that it's not going to completely replace offline learning, certainly not. But I somewhere think that this is going to be an important component of any kind of future strategy of teaching and all that. In fact, when this entire thing emerged, and this was kind of thrust upon us, and we didn't know how to respond to it. Most of us were caught unawares, and we didn't know how to basically carry on with this e-learning. And whether it is we speak about the examinations, the professional examinations, there you have again an unevenness between who is examining and who is being examined. So there is an unevenness in both the sectors, as well as with regard to e-learning. Again, it depends what is the kind of logistical infrastructural support that your university or your school provides, and what are the kinds of support system that our students have. At times, they don't just seem to have it. And whereas in some cases, what happens, the universities or the smaller schools reach out to those who do not have a laptop, provide them with a laptop and all those things. So when you are doing these things, I somewhere feel that, yes, this is a fantastic thing. So when I teach my classes, there are students starting from Leh in Ladakh right up to Thiruvananthapuram, right? So there are students all scattered all over the country. And so it's quite a challenge to try keep them together. But the bad news is that most of our public universities, I think, have completely failed. And I cannot say much about the private universities, but the public universities just do not have the logistical support. The public university system has completely, and I risk saying this very openly. I also belong to a public university like Delhi University. They just don't have the infrastructural support.
But Ashokji, it just now is just a matter of adapting, isn't it? Dekhiye, because your classroom is so much wider now. And the students also, they don't need to actually travel all the way to the college or to the university. वो जहाँ हैं, वहीं से आपके lecture को, they can connect with you. Perhaps you will get into a stage where you will have the laptop right there in front of you, and you will have students in a hybrid format कि आधे बच्चे classroom में बैठे हैं, आधे बच्चे आपके साथ वहां से जुड़ रहे हैं, ऑनलाइन जुड़ रहे हैं, और आप या तो क्लासरूम में पढ़ा रहे हैं या जहां where you are sitting now, आप वहां से पढ़ा रहे हैं. That could be perhaps the way we are looking at how things will evolve in the future, because then anybody anywhere, as long as there is data and connectivity, because for us, for universities, do you think that's the biggest challenge, or perhaps it's not a big cost to improve their tech infrastructure? At least landline लाने में, Wi-Fi network setup करने में, the cost today in terms of data, in terms of setting up, is not so huge. The capex is not so huge for universities to not be able to do it. But do you think now universities will wake up? Will they now look at that? Before I bring in Aviral, I just want to ask you, आपको लगता है कि there will be a push from teachers also कि भाई इसको कराओ यार, क्योंकि ये
Right.
फायदेमंद
No,
है.
no, no. You know, I'm the one who makes also a little bit of a noise in my university, and I keep telling them that you just guys, you have to wake up and respond to such challenges that the students throw at us. So you're right that we ought to be going towards a hybrid model. Even that suits me. But here is a pointer that I would like to share with you. Something a little different, and that is, let's say we have a class of 100, and I'm teaching a specialized course, and I want them to write term papers, for instance, which is when I would ask them to write, let us say, 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs of outlines of the term papers. And I want to discuss with them. Now, what have I done so far? I've discussed everybody's paper before everybody else, because I just didn't have the time to give that personalized attention to each of those students, right? Earlier, what I used to do is I used to give them appointments in my office, and I used to ask them to come by and see me. So I used to give time slots to everyone. Now I just have to do it, and at times, that exchange is not very very complete.
It's not productive.
So the students. Yeah, it's not productive, and in the presence of other students will always claim, yeah, I understood what you said and all that, because they didn't want to embarrass themselves by admitting that they didn't. So these are so this personal exchange and the learning that the students at times get by the sheer interaction with the teachers, that might be a little bit of missing, but I'm absolutely with you on this idea of the hybrid mode.
So Aviral, you've been listening to everything. Where what have you appeared for competitive exams? Where do you stand today? Do you think you will go back to once again getting into these exam centers, or somewhere do you think we're moving to a place where it will all become quite hybrid, where you learn online and then perhaps write an exam offline, especially if you cannot take it online?
Yeah, so my views are like, I have recently appeared for the JEE exams and also for the state exam. So I know that there were proper precautions taken. So to the large extent that could be taken forward. But as of now, like my perspective is that the normal learning part, the theoretical part could be covered online. And while the practical thing can be covered, that requires personal attention, as said by the professor. And also needs practical learning. So for that, we can definitely there has to be conceptualization that we go to the college and learn some things there, and the rest things, and also the exams there, because exams being conducted as a center have only one positive point that Sir also said, that that we also get an assurance that all are at the same level, all are not cheating or something. So all are calculated equally.
But then what's your counter? Why do you think you would rather be at home doing multiple things? So you have a far more productive 6 hours if you're actually at home studying compared to when you're going to a uni, or compared to when you're going out to classes. What is that something which works for you? Or where do you stand on that?
Yeah, this works perfectly fine. But I tell you one thing, the problem there arises is that once we are at our homes, there are multiple things. The professor is also taking a lecture. There's also a workshop going parallelly. So we try to do a lot of things together. So we try to put in one device with a professor, one device with the workshops. So that distractions is always there. But once we are at the campus, once we're there, we dedicated everything and every time towards that particular thing. So they both have positive and negatives, but I like being taught online, the normal theory and stuff like that. And also the facility is that we can get recorded. We can record the sessions. So when we are comfortable, we can go through it again.
Atulji, final comment, and then Rishabh, or if you want to just weigh in for a bit. I'm just saying, if in future we get to a stage where this disparity is taken away, Atulji, I'm just coming back to you. We've got to wind up in the next 2-3 minutes. So, अगर electricity सबके घर पे हो, broadband सबके घर पे हो, connectivity सबके घर पे हो, don't you think that the way forward is to impart more online learning, because COVID has been able to bring about that as a sociological change, behavioral change?
3 years, somebody is doing articleship training, attending the office, learning the skills. So it is very important that you should have a skill sets available. So again, I will say, it is not only to qualify the exam, even somebody who will qualify the exam, even the toughest of the examination, but it is a mugging, it is a rota learning, it is not a hand-on experience, that on-the-job training is not available. That is something, the skill set. So again, it is very, very important when you will come out, you will have that kind of experience. Even that is more important as compared to qualifying the examination. So, so that is something which we need to understand, that even if COVID is there, I am aware that all the benefits, I am again repeating that I can tell you the 100 of the benefit of the online learning, but ultimately, which is very, very important to understand, that these are the two principles to become a successful and a really a skilled based person in the society, which can contribute in this society. So that
so you're saying a Gurukul which is physical is important because it is more comprehensive, holistic, but the E factor, Rishabh, I think will slowly occupy a little more percentage, say at least 35 to 40% from the last 10% before COVID-19. You think that that's the best way to summarize it? And more importantly, everybody's now going to focus on improving their tech infrastructure. Final word, and then we'll wind up.
No, I think Atulji's thoughts are very, very interesting, but I personally believe, Anand, that it's not going to be 35 to 40%. I do fundamentally feel that it's going to be at least 50 to 60%, and people will have to keep up with the changing times. Like, there's a small case study that I think one of the leading universities did, which mentioned that about 30% of the students who pursue higher education in the United States of America take an online course. Academic rigor, I understand what Atulji said, and holistic development, they're two different things. But look at IIMON only for an example. We organize conferences offline. We used to do it in 160 cities. The main point of IIMON is in order to, build the personality of the student. We don't focus on the academics as much as the personality. But now that personality development is taking place online, and the advantage of this is just like,
Rishabhji, just to interject you. When you are talking about the US, I can tell you that the chartered accountants are today being recognized as the most knowledgeable, respected, and the talent-based profession.
That's no doubt about it.
Available in the 100 countries. In the US, even I can tell you that the chartered accountant are the most respected profession in the Indian chartered accountants. Why so? Because ultimately, even when they are doing the online learning, they are not actually earning the skill sets. They are only qualifying the exams. So
वो मजाक में भी कहते हैं और हकीकत भी है कि भारत का जो अकाउंटेंट है वो दुनिया भर में कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. ये हकीकत भी है और कई बार इसमें थोड़ा मजाक भी होता है क्योंकि भारत के किसी सीए से पूछो 2+2 क्या होता है तो फिर वो इंडियन सीए टर्न्स अराउंड से कितना दिखाना है. That ability is a chartered accountant's ability. But I agree with you.
आज की तारीख में आप बड़ी से बड़ी कंपनी, ग्लोबली कंपनीज का उठा के देख लीजिए सीएफओ कौन है. You will find only a chartered accountant will be the CFO. GM Motors CFO is a chartered accountant. You will take any company and you will find the ultimate, because ultimately that rigorous training, and which is not.
That's the reason. That's the reason why I wrote your examination. That's the reason why I wrote the examination. but I concur with what you're saying.
And even when we're talking about postgraduate courses and competitive examinations, this campus aspect is because they say at least about 50 to 70% of the learning, the holistic angle of it, a certain dynamics which are actually subjective, not limited to books and the exam itself, and that the text learning itself or theory learning itself comes from campus involvement. But in these times, we will have to figure out a hybrid mix, and that's the way to go forward. I'm not saying one has to supersede the other, but I think one will complement the other. Atul ji, one aspect is आपसे बात करके आज बहुत मजा आया, because today I realize why chartered accountants can also debate and discuss so well. This is also part of the training that happens. Thank you very much. I have limited time, but we'll take this conversation forward for very, very soon. Ashok ji, Atul ji, Aviral, and also Dharitri. Thank you very, very much. Rishabh, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy watching this effort of ours here at Network 18. Yuva Bharat, tell us how you feel. To keep writing to us or share your thoughts on the IIMON platform also, and it will be released to us.
Before you,
yes, go ahead.
Before we conclude, just want to quickly say, there are very few news channels who could have done this and envisaged doing a show dedicated to just young people. The fact that you've taken that initiative, I must again commend you and the entire team at Network 18.
Well, it's a teamwork. So it's like that. So as long as we are working and we're on the same page, I think the effort will show and the intent will show. And perhaps the viewer will also give us the feedback. We're getting a lot of positive feedback, I must say that. Keep that feedback coming, keep watching us, and keep telling us what you'd like to watch here on this platform that is Yuva Bharat. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you very much.
To one channel.
Look at the kind of